So Sapphire spilled the beans, huh? Allegedly. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I want to give my point of view on this matter, on this leak, or whatever you guys want to call it. But first, I want to start out with my credentials. Hopefully, this is just a talking video, not much editing going on, maybe something here and there, a little bit here and there. But, first of all, I'm not perfect, guys, and this is my own personal opinion, okay? So I just want to make that clear. I don't want, I know how someone might post a video and next thing you know, there's a whole plethora of people just saying you're wrong, pointing fingers and stuff. I make mistakes too, guys. I'm not perfect, but I want to give you my perspective, my point of view as a professional. I'll start with my credentials. I've been doing this for over 15 years in the whole manufacturing, design, and implementing processes, whatever you guys want to call it, in this type of industry. So I worked for a company that was contracted by the Department of Defense, and I also worked at companies where it was involved in the automotive industry for all this type of stuff, circuitry, printed circuit boards. So I gotta say the leak, first of all, somebody's boss is definitely not happy. I haven't been in that situation, but I've been close enough to people that are like the PR people and, higher ups that if something like this were to happen, you're talking less than a week for the official launch, or what do they call it? Soft launch, hard launch, paper launch, whatever they call it. So you're talking about less than a week before this product is actually announced. Speculations, of course. We know for sure that the Ryzen, second gen Ryzen, the 3000 series or whatever, most likely will be announced in, what is it, Computex coming up. Yeah, that's what it is. So we kind of know about that. But the more about the graphic cards, that's something that, we might have, could have, would have heard of, maybe not. But I'm pretty sure that probably at least something we will hear something. I mean, it's something with the shareholders, the year meetings or whatever the hell they call them. Those are actually already been through. They talked about it. They said they were launching it at Q3. So, but I got to start with a lot of the leaks prior with especially Jim from Adore TV. I gotta say, guys, being in the industry and working, I worked in the research and development area at a couple of companies, and I gotta say, when you work in this industry for so long and you have an idea, once you start hearing some of the jargon and some of the stuff that goes on, you really have a good sense. You have an idea of what's really doable and what's not. You know what I mean? What makes sense, what doesn't. And I gotta say, a lot of the stuff that I heard from the leaks that he posted up, they were extremely plausible. You know what I mean? They were very plausible. They were very. They made a lot of sense to me and some of my colleagues too. That we spoke about at work. They were very, some of the stuff just wasn't crazy. The gains and stuff like that with the note shrink and things like that. That made a lot of sense. So I got to give him credit. I know that some of the stuff that he said, he might not be, he might be discredited or just kind of people doubt his source and things like that. But it just makes sense. You know what I mean? He talks about engineering sample, and I want to give you guys a little bit insight of what an engineering sample is. Engineering sample, we get something out in the floor. Whenever we send something out to the manufacturing floor, we call it an actual bill request right at the place that I work currently. Other places call it different things, but at the place that I work currently, they call it a bill request. Now, what a bill request is, it's basically work instructions. How can I say it? It's work instructions. It's details on a product of a line that the company's gonna build, and basically this is coming down right from engineering, right from the design aspect of it. And what that might be just very small tweaks. You know, you might change a value on a part, or you might actually just shift the part, or completely remove a part, or add another part, add a mod to it. You know, these are little things that the engineers will send out to the floor to actually try out little things that they've been trying out, whether it's in their office or in the lab and things like that. They send that out to the floor to be able to kind of see and tweak the product as they go. So a build request is the actual first step of tweaking an engineering sample, or it could just be a total brand new product, and that is a build request. They're requesting something to be built to certain specifications, and they basically want to be able to see any changes, you know, any changes that happen, or they want to say, hey, you know, this is a build request for XYZ, but, and you know, it actually turns, if there's no product out there, it actually turns into a prototype, which a prototype will be your very first product, production product, that you can actually try out and test yourself and see how it works, how it performs, any tweaks and things like that. So that being said, a lot of the things that, you know, when I see a build request going through the offices and things like that, you know, I actually, you know, I can see how the process works, where it's like, it could be a brand new product, or it could be just little tweaks here and there. And I mean, sometimes it's something so insignificant that you kind of scratch your head and you say, why? Why do they even do that? But that's just a little bit letting you guys how it works out on the manufacturing floor. But again, based on just some of the stuff that Jim's put on his video, you know, it just makes me believe that, you know, I personally wouldn't discredit. Some of the information. It's just it really makes a lot of sense from my point of view. And again, guys, this is my point of view. I could be totally wrong. You know, I could be doing another video. You guys could be like, "Hey, I told you so." So that just leads me to believe that a lot of these things are very very plausible, very true. Okay, so then we're gonna move on to Chris from the Good Old Gamer. Yes, I believe he was the one that actually nailed it on the head the best, to my you know, to my knowledge and my experience. You know, you have to understand that Radeon 7 was released not too long ago, and that pretty much is a, you know, that even though it's kind of like a what it is, a refresh from, what is it, Instinct or whatever the heck it is they call it for their server side or professional side. One of the things that costs the company the most, guys, is research and development. It could be millions of dollars. I mean, and in this type of industry, it definitely, for sure, was tons of money. So no matter how good the server side or the professional side sells, you know, and no matter how good the profit is, if you're spending millions and millions of dollars to do research and development, that customer or that profit or that, you know, that whole market might not be enough to actually cover your costs for the research and development and also leave a profit afterwards. So they have to, you know, offset some of that, and a good way would be to just do a refresh on, you know, on like the these Navi chips, you know. So that would be something that it would take them less money to build something from the ground up than to do a refresh. But you still invest money. Don't get me wrong. Even though it's a refresh, you still have to do certain tweaks. You might have to change certain things on the chip or whatever it might be. But he talked about a good point, which was Radeon 7 is already out, which competes with the 2080. You have to offset that cost, and the only logical reason that makes sense is to have something to compete with the 2070 and the 2060. They're not going to go out there and they're not going to give something, they're not going to give you a product where it's going to completely get rid of that Radeon 7, because it took them a lot of money to develop. It took them a lot of money to manufacture. I mean, everything from the packaging, from the design, from the cooler, all that stuff costs money. And for them to actually just release the car and then say, hey, we're going to get rid of it and replace it with XYZ, it's something that is not feasible, you know, company wise, industry wise, and company wise. It's just not that it's not feasible, but it's not profitable for the company. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to kind of, take one of your products that you spent so much money and completely replace it with something that you had to develop again and things like that. That's why you get a lot of the refresh, whether it's on the CPU side or on the GPU side, the processors and the graphic cards and things like that. So, I think out of all the people, all the videos that I watch, I think he was the one that was the closest to really what a good explanation or a good how can you say it? A good idea of how everything works. I've seen a couple other videos, but some of them were just kind of not quite there. Not from my personal experience. Again, guys, this is all a personal opinion, and again, I could be wrong, but from my personal experience that I worked, and that's just what made the most sense to do. That's what I would do. So, and then we have. So that being said, that just makes sense to me. It wouldn't make any other sense for it wouldn't make other sense for them to do anything else, anything different. So that being said, now I know there was another YouTuber that I saw. I believe it was Paul from Not an Apple Guy, or Not an Apple not an Apple fan. That's what it was. Not an Apple fan. And the video he posted, he was pretty upset about the prices of the Navis that were leaked, and he broke it down to a point where it made sense. It made sense. He said that you take the price, the launch price, and you compare. It'd be comparable to Vega 56 or Vega 64. And that makes sense, but here's my take on it, and I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm not saying that anybody that's putting an opinion out there and on YouTube, it's wrong or right. I'm just saying that it's my personal take on it. To be honest, is like I explained earlier in the video, guys. It's not cheap to do research and development. It's not cheap to do any tweaks or anything like that. Sometimes the process, the design is just not. You can only get so much performance out of it, no matter what you do to it, unless you completely redesign the product from the floor up. I think that next year would definitely be something that it will be more promising, but I don't think that this year, it's nothing to really expect or see or to really. I mean, I could be wrong. Here's the thing, guys. We don't know yet what they have to offer, until that is officially released. Yeah, we got it from a third board vendor or whatever it is. We don't know what's there to offer. We don't know if there's certain I mean, there's things that they're making tweaks and changes as product is going out the door. So we don't know what to expect. We don't know what is out there. What can what performance can we gain from that? But it's really expensive. I don't think at this point it would be feasible as far as business wise for them to maybe give it a cheaper price. Now I got to be honest. When Jim from Adore TV put up the leaks and things like that with the price to performance, I I from a professional point of view, I was very skeptical. I was like, how are they gonna do that? Offer that much performance for that price. That was just telling me just something was off. It wasn't completely, it's just the price to performance was just amazing. Not saying that AMD hasn't done that before. I mean, there's a couple of products they've done that before, where the price to performance was phenomenal. I mean, it was a hell of a deal. But it just didn't kind of like make sense, from a professional standpoint. Don't get me wrong, guys. I felt for it myself. I mean, I was stoked. I was hyped. I was extremely happy. I like rooting for the underdog, and I felt for it myself. I really did. I felt for it myself. I thought to myself, I said, man, if they could deliver something like that, boy, Nvidia is in trouble. I mean, they did such an amazing job with Ryzen. No one can deny. No one, you couldn't see at what they were accomplishing with Ryzen, and whether you were an AMD fan or Intel fan, there was no way that you can actually look at it and say, or you know what I mean. It was just they were so accomplishing so much that you could have been the most hardcore Intel fans, and you would have looked at it and you say, wow, that's impressive, no matter how you look at it. You know what I mean? And if you didn't, you were just in denial. Period. You know what I mean? But so yeah, I mean, it was just something professionally wasn't really quite clicking together. But again, as a fan for the underdog, I was like, yes, you know what I mean? Like, competition is always good for all us consumers. Always, always good. You know what I mean? You always want competition. You always want the one company, checking the other company and vice versa. You always want that, because it just gives us a lot of innovation. Personally, it gives us a lot of innovation. And the price, it makes that company strive for better. There's a say in when I first started in the industry that really stuck to me, and I remember that we used to have it plaster all over the walls at the workplace when I first started, and what the poster said, I remember it, guys. This is something that will stick with me forever. The poster said it said innovate or evaporate, and that's really is a fact. I mean, if you're not on top of things, if you're not putting out new things and innovating things, there's always going to be a company out there that's going to do something better. It's gonna, you're going to fall behind, and that's something you don't want to do in this kind of industry. Everybody knows that once a computer part or anything similar to that comes out on a date, 6 months is obsolete. You know what I mean? Excuse me. So yeah, so I tell you, I fell for it, guys. I really did. I fell for it. I was like, you know what? If they can do that, boy, I mean, this is great, and videos. But at the professional side of me just kind of just knew that just something was off. That for them to offer something of that performance for that amount of money, it would have been huge. And I quite honestly, Nvidia would be in a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? Because not everybody is looking at that $700 price range, and certainly a lot of us, including myself, are definitely not in the market for a $1,200 bucks graphic card. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. What else can I say? I mean, All I gotta say, guys, is we have to wait till everything is released. We have to wait till for the official announcement, and hopefully, I I have a feeling that I have honestly my personal feeling and opinion based on what I seen and the stuff that I talked to some of my colleagues. I think that Zen 2 Ryzen 3000 series, it's gonna be phenomenal. I feel it in my gut, guys. I believe it's just gonna be an amazing product. Um, I honestly think, guys, I think they're gonna reveal when was it when Lisa Su did her keynote at CES, I believe it is, at the beginning of the year, when they actually did that showdown with their Ryzen processor against what was it, 9900K. I honestly believe that they're gonna reveal that there's something like a lot inferior to what what Intel's 9900 offer uh, would be for probably like half the price or even less. And we know that Cinebench is just a application that prefers AMD products. A lot of more cores and threads and stuff like that. It's just That's just how it works. That's how it prefers. And Ryzen products has always done phenomenal, and for them to improve on what they did on the first Sen and Sen Plus, that there alone would just be amazing. You know what I mean? I think that there's definitely room for improvement with the node shrink and things like that. That opens up a lot of doors, and also for the graphic cards with that node shrink, you know, not necessarily that doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting a faster GPU per se. You know what I mean? Or something where it's just more strong. There's definitely that possibility, and there's definitely gains to get from it. But they could also be looking at TDPs and things like that. You know what I mean? How much heat and things like that it produces. Form factor. How small can you get it too? The actual hardware. So you have your pros and cons, and I know that it's gonna be decent. I hope that for some reason these prices are might be off, and I mean I think that if they would have probably came down with a little bit lower prices on these products, I don't think so many people would be upset about what's going on. I do understand them. At the end of the day, guys, you gotta understand too. These are companies, and they're out there to make money. You know, as much as you want the one company, XYZ company, to be the underdog or be the savior, they're out there to make money, and they have to make a profit, and that's based on that profit is how much money they know they can take and put aside for research and development, for new products, for all kinds of things. You know what I mean? So I understand AMD's point of view if that's the case, and maybe they just didn't have anything available that would meet the standards, and they said, hey, let's just get this out there and as a placeholder or something in the meantime, just so it wouldn't be so disappointing. But um, but yeah, that's pretty much my point of view, guys. This is somebody again that's been doing this for over 15 years, and tell me what you guys think down below in the comments. You know what I mean? Just tell me your point of view. Let's open up a discussion. No one needs to insult nobody. Let's just have a very mature adult discussion. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys are expecting. I tell you what, guys, I know for a fact if the price to performance ratio on the CPUs, on the Ryzen CPUs, are any good, I'm definitely getting one. You know what I mean? I have a gut feeling they're gonna be phenomenal, and I might actually even pre-order one just for the channel, just so I can do some reviews, some benchmarks, things like that. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. Tell me, are you guys getting the Ryzen series, the Navi series, whatever? I mean, tell me what you guys really think, honestly. Are you guys pissed that, you know, it came out at a price and wasn't something similar to what the leak said? But yeah, let me know. As always, like, subscribe, share, the whole thing. Click the bell, all that. All right, guys. Well, see you in the next video.